I was dating Jeffrey. He was always talking about Donald. It was his bestie and everything. And he was joking about how Donald thought I was hot and Donald thinks I'm this or whatever, you know.
You cannot see on camera that he was pulled over for not having his headlights on. The driver argued the lights did not need to be on because it wasn't.
They need control. Power. They need you to be doing what they need you to be doing.
We were there as workers covered the emergency room signs at Midcoast Medical Center in Trinity, Texas. The sight of medical workers leaving for the last time, signaling this is one of the latest rural hospitals to shut its doors.
I think how sad it is.
Marjorie Polvino runs the hospital board.
It has a huge impact on the committee. We will lose lives. 400 people a month come here.
In the East Texas piney woods, Midcoast was more than a building. It was a lifeline, where babies were born, and where the heart of Kathy Courtney's 90-year-old husband was restarted, saving his life.
How many times have you used this facility recently?
I'd say about 6 times in the last 14 months.
The closure, hospital officials tell us, was driven by the same factors that have closed other rural hospitals. Low reimbursement rates from elderly patients' Medicare and Medicaid coverage, which made up most of the hospital's budget. Hospitals in urban areas get significantly more reimbursement from their patients who have private insurance, which tends to pay more. Republican proposed cuts to Medicaid could leave more than 8.5 million people uninsured and force even more rural hospitals to close. A new report finds almost 750 rural hospitals are at risk of closing.
Stacey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As you know, Epstein is dominating the news once again, and his relationship with Trump is under scrutiny. While you were dating Epstein, can you tell us how close these two men were?
They were best friends. I dated Jeffrey for a period of more or less, I think about 4 or 5 months. And the only friend that he would mention every time we saw each other or had a phone conversation was Donald, and he would share a lot of anecdotes. I have plenty of anecdotes. And yeah, they were very close, and they were up to no good.
And how did Epstein talk about Trump? Sort of what was the quality of those anecdotes and how he described him?
There was a time when he mentioned that he had to check in on him because he was unwell and very upset about something that had happened. I remember because he was late to pick me up and he was explaining why he was late. They were just, it was such a long time ago, but it was just that was his bro, that was his wingman. It was clearly, I'd hear about Gillan and I'd hear about Jeffrey. And I met Gillan in his house. She would come wafting in and out, the home in New York. So he was clearly just someone that he talked about all the time. And again, I met Jeffrey the second time and we started dating based on the reintroduction that happened at the Plaza Hotel at a Christmas party in 1992 that Donald Trump threw. And they were very, very close.
So let's talk about this incident, alleged incident in 1993, where you say that Trump groped you in front of Epstein. I do want to note that CNN has spoken to 3 friends of yours who confirmed that you told them about this alleged incident over past decades. Can you tell me more about what happened that day and particularly how Trump and Epstein interacted?
Yeah, before I get into the details of what happened, which, obviously I told you guys and I've shared with multiple outlets the specifics of the assault that happened. I want to point out that I was polygraphed before I did all this by one of the most renowned examiners in the world. Michael Wolff has hundreds of hours of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein where Jeffrey confirmed to Michael what the two of them did to me long before I came out and told you all of this.
Where Jeffrey confirmed to Michael what the two of them did to me long before I came out and told you all of this.
Donald Trump's dark past continues to surface, and we here at the Midas Touch Network have this exclusive report for you. We've managed to locate video from a 1991 beauty pageant called Look of the Year that Donald Trump threw with a guy named John Casablancas from Elite Model Management. Casablancas died in 2013, allegedly from throat cancer. Casablancas had affairs, sexually assaulted 15-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl. I'm going to go through Casablancas' background with you. We hear a lot about Trump's connections with Epstein. Donald Trump was also very close with this Casablancas guy who Elite Model Agency was used to prey on underage girls as well. All right, so let me share this with you. You have Donald Trump at this 1991 beauty pageant. Here are some of the photos that we have. You see him right here. The little girls would come into the room, again, mostly underage. They would come into the room in bathing suits, very little clothing, and he would sit there and he would judge them and he would determine if they can make it through the next round. Here are some of the photos we've been able to identify. You can see Donald Trump right there looking at these girls who he made wear the bathing suits and kind of walk in front of him. And again, some of these girls as young as 14. Here's a photo of what the actual competition looked like from the 1991 Look of the Year. This was from the Guardian's report on it. Let me read for you what they said, what happened the night before the event. Then I'm going to show you some of the video that we've been able to locate at the Midas Touch Network. So this was a photo from the Guardian article, a still from a previously unseen footage of the 1991 Look of the Year finale. Their articles from about 10 years ago or so. Teen models, powerful men, and private dinners when Trump hosted Look of the Year. It's actually from 2020. In the early 1990s, Donald Trump judged the world's biggest modeling competition, since hit by allegations of abuse. This is how people who were there remember it. On September 1st, 1991, a large private yacht cruised toward the Statue of Liberty. It was a clear, breezy evening, and from the upper deck of the Spirit of New York, a golden sunset could be seen glinting off the Manhattan skyline. Downstairs, a party was in flow. Scores of teenage girls in evening dresses and miniskirts, some as young as 14, danced under disco lights. It could have been a high school prom were it not for the crowd of older men surrounding them. As the evening wore on, some of the men, many old enough to be the girls' fathers or even grandfathers, joined them on the dance floor, pressing themselves against the girls. One balding man in a suit wrapped his arms around two young models, underage girls, leering into the film camera that was documenting the evening. Can you get some beautiful women around me, please? The party aboard the Spirit of New York was one of several events that Donald Trump, then 45, attended with a group of 58 aspiring young models that September. Again, mostly underage girls. And it talks about how this was part of the Elite Look of the Year competition. Elite Model Management was run by John Casablancas. He since died in 2013. So Casablancas' marriage to his second wife, Jeanette Christensen, ended in 1983 when it was revealed he was having an affair with a 15-year-old girl who he described as a woman child, is how he described the girls that he would be with. He called them woman child. This was, again, one of Donald Trump's best friends. And then he had a marriage to Aline Worlminger, who was a 17-year-old from the Look of the Year competition. A 2020 Guardian investigation into Elite's Look of the Year competition uncovered allegations from former contestants and industry insiders that these competitions The events that I'm about to show you that Trump attended as well were used by Casablancas and others to engage in sexual relationships with vulnerable young models, some of whom were teenagers. The allegations range from sexual harassment, exploitation, and in some cases rape. The investigation highlighted a culture where young girls, often aged 14 to 18, were exposed to older men in powerful positions at events like after parties where alcohol was served to minors. Okay. So now I have the videotape of the Look of the Year 1991 competition. I have the full event. It's too hard to watch. If you want me to post it, I'll post it on another thread. But let me just show you some of the lowlights of this event. This is what happened, and you can see that these are young girls. These are little girls dressed like in very little clothing, dancing, and just watch for yourself. Let's play it.
The Look of the Year contest is the ultimate contest for women that want to go all the way in the modeling business.
Featuring 58 of the world's most beautiful young women competing for more than $700,000 in prizes. A chance of a dream come true. A career as one of modeling's superstars. We'll take you behind the scenes, onto the runway. You see the fun, feel the excitement. You'll take your fate, along with our panel of expert and celebrity judges. Enjoy front row VIP seats at the gala evening. One of these contestants will be selected as Girls Look of the Year.
And then here's another clip where it talks, and you heard Donald Trump there as well. So here's another clip right here of the kind of pre-competition to get into the finals, if you will, and just watch how creepy this is. Here, play this clip.
58 contestants participated in an exhaustive round of personal interviews designed to help our judges discover what makes each one special.
We're 5-9 reading. Serious, huh?
Okay. Thank you very much.
The concentration was intense inside the judging room.
Oh my kids you are.
And out.
So excited.
Each girl was considered not only for her beauty and poise, but also for her personality and that indefinable
something extra that makes a top model.
Okay, you want to pull your hair back 1 second? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ingrid. Good luck for tonight.
Thank you.
When it came time to choose the 21 finalists, emotions ran high as each judge expressed his or her opinion.
We as Christians have given into our carnal desires to put the self above everybody else, which is not Christianity. Jesus Christ never taught that. He came as the ultimate servant to serve everybody. I mean, think about that. The Lord and Creator of the universe came to serve us. I mean, it's amazing. Yet we don't really do that for each other, especially when we're given the opportunity to throw somebody under the bus anonymously. Hence YouTube comments, Facebook comments, Twitter, all of this. And it's really this carnal desire to be the best, to show yourself as better than everybody else, as smarter than everybody else. That has led to a fracturing of Christianity. We're not bringing in any new converts. We're actually losing people because of this. We're every year at a faster and faster rate, we're losing more and more Christians. I mean, it seems like we're losing more Christians than we're bringing in because we're too focused on having these online fights. And really what it is, it's not only the internet, it's in a lot of areas, but it's not following what Jesus taught about unification, and it's making excuses for our bad behavior. I've heard a lot of excuses. Well, Jesus said that he came with a sword and all that. But that's another example of somebody cherry picking a verse and not taking the time to understand the full context. Because Jesus spoke about unification all the time. Love one another, even pray for your enemies, all of this stuff. That sword verse is about believers and non-believers. And it's not a sword meant to, we're supposed to go and hate these people. It's just a clear division. There is believers and there are non-believers. One will be with Jesus in eternity, the other won't. So let's bring as many as we can, into our side and make that our focus. Bring people into eternity, teach them about Jesus. And, we do that through love and all that stuff.
Teach them about Jesus and, we do that through love and all that stuff.
When he pulled me over, he walked up, opened my door because my window don't work, right? And then I said, so what I did wrong? He said, well, for one, your headlights are off under this weather. I'm like, there's multiple people headlights off, first of all. And then there's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor?
Huh?
Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
Here.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now. All right. Get on the ground.
Stop fighting! Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. What's wrong with you?
Ain't no talking now, man. Ain't no talking.
What's going on, man?
You're under arrest. That's what's going on.
No, yes, bro. Yes.
Big life center in here, too.
You gonna come and go like that, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it off of you, bro. Yeah.
And I'm just trying to have a regular conversation with y'all.
That's not how it works.
Too late. It ain't no too late.
When they asked you to step out of the vehicle, you should have done that shit.
So your partner didn't even ask.
Marijuana in his right pocket.
Yes.
So why close the door if you see him pull up?
Because, man, what you mean? He talking about arresting me and stuff, bro. I didn't do nothing.
Well, go resisting, idiot.
I didn't do nothing wrong, sir. Can you back me up to the car so I can lean up?
Shut up.
Now to that viral video we've been talking about throughout the morning here on Good Morning Jacksonville, stemming from a traffic stop in Duval. We have just received a copy of the official police report back from February of this year. Our crime and safety expert, Ken Jefferson, will break that down momentarily, but first, we want to bring you back up to speed on how this all started. As far as we know, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office announced Sunday that they have launched an internal investigation after a video showed an officer shattered a car window and hit the driver in the head multiple times. The video begins with the driver explaining to a Jacksonville Sheriff's officer you cannot see on camera that he was pulled over for not having his headlights on. The driver argued the lights did not need to be on because it wasn't raining. When he asks for a supervisor, things quickly escalate. Take a look.
Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hands.
Here.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now. All right. Get on the ground.
No.
We mentioned the driver was hit multiple times. We see once they're in the vehicle and again when he's taken out of the vehicle. The driver is identified as a 22-year-old. His name is William McNeil Jr. He's now represented by civil rights attorneys Ben Crump and Harry Daniels. Sheriff T.K. Waters says the department is committed to a full review of the incident and holding officers to the highest standards.
Long before I came out and told you all of this. So those are two critical data points that you need to have, and now I'll walk you through what happened. I was dating Jeffrey. He was always talking about Donald. It was his bestie and everything, and he was joking about how Donald thought I was hot, and Donald thinks I'm this or whatever, you know, wants to talk to you. And he was telling me this as we were taking a walk down Fifth Avenue one day, and he said, let's stop in and see him at his offices. So we went up to his office in Trump Tower, and within a couple of minutes, Donald was outside of his door, and his hands were all over me. They were on my breasts, they were on my butt, they were on, my hips, up and down, while the two of them just kept having a normal conversation. I don't remember exactly what was in the conversation. Again, this was, we're talking 90, this is 93 now. It was something about, it was irrelevant. It was like, oh, Stacey's career's on fire. She just did Sports Illustrated again, blah, 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 blah. And they were back and forth, smiling and grinning and carrying on a conversation while Donald ran his hands all over me. And, when that happens in broad daylight in someone's office and an assistant's walking back and forth, you're in shock. If it happens in a dark alleyway, right, you defend yourself. But when it's hidden in its brazenness like that, which is Donald Trump's forte, you know, you go into shock. So I froze, and it was over and very quickly. It was a few minutes, and then we got back in the elevator, and Jeffrey's energy had changed. He was like seething. He was enraged. He wouldn't make eye contact with me. And then we got out on the street on Fifth Avenue, and he looked at me and he just started yelling at me, saying, "Why did you let him do that?" And he was so enraged. And then I remember thinking, like, why did I? I felt like I was coming back into my body at that moment, and I was confused.
Now, one of the things that we know as well is that Donald Trump, and he talked about this, that he would inspect the girls in the beauty pageants that he would hold. You know, he held a lot of beauty pageants, so you'll just whichever beauty pageants he's talking about here, and he would look at them naked, and he would inspect them, and he said because he was the leader of the competition, he was the owner, you can inspect them naked. He said, you do it when you're the leader, they let you do it. Here he is on audio saying that to Howard Stern, so you can just hear in his own words, so you know that I'm not paraphrasing, just hear what he says. Here, play this clip.
What you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things.
And then we have the confirmation of what's happening from some of the contestants in the beauty pageant. Like, here was Miss 2006 North Carolina describing what would happen when Donald Trump would show up in the room. Let's play it.
Is it normal to see men in dressing rooms at pageants? And the owner of the pageant?
No. The director of the North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, and Alabama pageants, it's very much a family atmosphere. She doesn't even go backstage when the girls are getting ready. Only the female chaperones are allowed backstage in the dressing rooms with the girls. I've never had an experience where there were men or directors or anything like that walking back in the dressing rooms.
Yeah. As I understand, there you have an experience of something that happened the night before the pageant?
Well, not the night before the pageant, but when we were in New York City on the media tour, they were doing a book launch at Trump Towers for the Universal Beauty book, and they had a bunch of former Miss USAs and Miss Universes and all 51 of us, and we did the red carpet, and that was tons of fun. And then they lined us all up, and Trump went down the line, and he shook your hand and, looked you over, looked you up and down, head to toe, and was just checking everybody out.
And you thought, you felt?
I felt very dirty. It was very creepy. It's kind of like when you're at a bar and a creepy guy is checking you out. That was the experience for me.
Now here is Miss Arizona 2001. Tasha Dixon is her name, describing what she observed when she was in the competitions. Here, play this clip.
He just came strolling right in. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were topless, other girls were naked.
As Miss Arizona 2001, Tasha Dixon competed in the Miss USA pageant. Donald Trump owned the contest along with Miss Universe and Miss Teen USA for 19 years.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis. To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him.
And Dixon has strong opinions about what she thinks were Trump's motivations.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get, around beautiful women.
Dixon, who lives in West Hollywood, was 18 at the time.
Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
The year she competed, the theme was empowering women. And after hearing recent audio of Trump talking about women, she decided to speak out.
but we've forgotten that. I mean, we want to fall into these other desires. The one prayer that Jesus had to the Father was about unification, and Jesus prayed to the Father, and this was right before he was going to be crucified. He prayed to the Father, let them be unified, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, let them be unified together the way you and I are unified. I mean, can you imagine the unity of the Trinity? I can't imagine that level of unity. But that was Jesus's prayer for us, that we would be that unified. And we have not been doing it. You know, in the first century, I think we were doing pretty good with the unification stuff. But every century after, it's just been declining and declining and declining. And Christians want to just fight on YouTube comments, bash each other, and make up these really flimsy excuses.
And Christians want to just fight on YouTube comments, bash each other, and make up these really flimsy excuses.
Thing is, we're all going to have to stand before Jesus. Every single one of us is going to have to give account of everything that we say and type and write. It's anything that we communicate. We're going to have to give an account of that. And what people should think about before they hit the enter key and send a comment, would Jesus approve of this? Can I justify this to the ultimate Lord and Creator of the universe? And how does this fit in with his unity plan? Am I contributing to unity between Christians, or am I fracturing us even further?
This makes us think even more about what happened, but most importantly, it underscores again why we got to see that video.
Attorneys in the Jabari Peoples case involved with an independent investigation of the 18-year-old who died after being shot by a Homewood police officer revealed the results of a preliminary independent autopsy. ABC 3340's Austin Pratt was at the press conference today. And Austin, what did the autopsy show?
Brenda, it shows Jabari was killed by a gunshot wound in his lower back.
Shows Jabari was killed by a gunshot wound in his lower back.
Now, the autopsy was done without any supporting evidence, leaving many questions unanswered. Without the body camera footage, it's hard to really tell what happened.
We buried our child Saturday. And we buried him Saturday, and it's hard. It's hard to even think about burying your child.
3 weeks after his son, Jabari Peoples, was shot by a Homewood police officer, dying from his injuries, his father, William Peoples, is still calling for justice and transparency. His legal team, in a news conference Tuesday, revealed the preliminary findings of an independent autopsy the family had done.
Based on the preliminary information, this sketch appears to show a possible entry of a gun wound right there. We need the bullet. We need to know where the bullet is because it's not in the body. We have questions.
The bullet has been removed from the body, but it's believed its trajectory ended in his vital organs, possibly one of his lungs or in his heart. I asked his legal team if Jabari was bent over for the trajectory to have that course, and attorney Ben Crump responded.
We don't know, and we don't want to make assumptions, but obviously the medical examiner has some thoughts, but she won't relay those thoughts conclusively because the video would tell us exactly the position he was in when the shot was fired.
Breaking news in upstate New York. The police there have just announced the father of the 9-year-old girl found dead over the weekend is now the suspect in her murder. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen, who's joining us now from Latham, New York. Tom, you were just at that news conference where that police official described their investigation. What else did they say?
Yeah, well, we really got to piece together a timeline of events here and the expansive search that was underway yesterday in order to locate 9-year-old Melina. So some of the things that we are finding out through that press conference that we were just at, officers ended up coming across Melina's body at a spot where her and her father were believed to have visited. They found her in shallow water, and then they took the father into custody. He's facing facing second-degree murder charges. He's being held at an Essex County facility, which is nearby. He's going to be in court later today, or he's expected to be in court later today. We're still waiting to hear exactly when that proceeding will take place. But the father and daughter, they were traveling through New York. They are from Montreal, Quebec. They were on their way back to Canada. We learned that the daughter had called her mother around 6:30 p.m. telling her that they were on their way back to Canada, and then shortly thereafter was when she went missing. Now, one of the things that the father was saying to police, where they did find inconsistencies, was that they had stopped off on the highway. He had gone to use the restroom. When he had come back, two men in a white van reportedly took the girl. Police officers revealed today that they did not believe that to be true, and we're just going to have to wait and see what the court proceedings yield as we head out through the day. Vlad.
Tom, did the police at all mention any possible motive, as you indicate, and as the police indicated in that press conference, when that young girl called her mother? The police say, didn't seem to be in any state of distress. So what do they say what do the police believe changed?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, she had a routine phone call with her mother. The father and the mother were separated. The mom did not believe that her daughter was in any sort of danger. That's according to that press conference. But as far as a motive goes, that is yet to be revealed. We specifically asked police officers in that press conference whether or not they could tell us what the motive was. However, when they're bringing charges like second-degree murder, that is going to be one thing that they are going to be searching for very closely to find out just what happened here, because it did seem like a routine vacation, a trip that was going smoothly, one that passed through New York City and was going back up to Canada. And of course, then the unthinkable happened. So we'll be following that very closely to see exactly what that motive is, and we'll be bringing that to you guys.
There's a lot of groups that seems to breed this kind of stuff. So, when you look at, say, the Hebrew Roots movement or the Flat Earth movement, or like the anti-Israel, anti-Zionist stuff, anti-Jewish stuff, it seems like that these groups themselves are breeding this behavior, but it's actually a human nature thing. You can find it in any group. So it's not, believe me, they are absolutely breeding this stuff, but it's not just them. It's not just the group. It's not just the wrong theology that's doing it. That's more of an excuse. So if somebody has a friend or family member that falls into one of these groups, the best way to get through to them is to focus on the unity and love stuff, because that is a blade that'll cut through any bad theology.
And I was confused. So that's the story of the assault.
And I do just want to note, Stacey, that Trump has denied these allegations, which you are well aware of. And I know at times you've referenced videos which we have not confirmed the existence of. But I know that you felt that this was coordinated later when you look back on it. What was it that made you draw that conclusion?
Well, I was sort of known in the industry for being somewhat combative with photographers who would expose themselves or do inappropriate things, or even guys who would touch or harass on the streets. And Jeffrey was aware of that. And I think he was excited. I think the gist in my mind, given what he knew and the way it played out, was, hey, I'm going to deliver this person to you who's actually not going to let you get away with what you do. And I did, because I froze. Like I said, when it's hidden in its brazenness like that, you freeze. And, he's a master of that. So, he talked about it, right? He talked about pussy grabbing on the Access Hollywood tape.
And tonight, if you're aware, President Trump has filed this libel lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal over its reporting that there was this note bearing Trump's name as a signature and an outline of a naked woman that was included in a 50th birthday album for Epstein in 2003, a note that also depicted an imaginary conversation between the two men. And part of it reads, quote, Donald saying, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do. Come to think of it, Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me that the last time I saw you." And then finally, Donald, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump called that letter fake. He said it was out of character for him because he never wrote a picture or drew a picture in his life. Wrote a picture, I think he said.
No,
it's not his kind of language. Based on your time with both men, does that sound out of character to you?
What, are you kidding me? I know what they were up to together. It happened to me. I was polygraphed. I have the post-assault postcard with a love note. So I have the receipts. Where are Donald Trump's receipts? Where are they?
So I have the receipts. Where are Donald Trump's receipts? Where are they?
No one in my lifetime has been better than Donald Trump at changing the subject, dictating the news cycle, wiping things from our collective memory. Remember we bombed Iran like 2 weeks ago? Whatever else you can say about him, the man has always been extremely adept at getting the news coverage he wants, or at least about the topics he wants. That is not happening, though, right now. Right now, Donald Trump wants everybody to shut the hell up about his one-time close friend, associate, the late child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, the guy you see there on your screen hanging out with Trump. And yet everything Trump is doing is making people talk about it more. In fact, just an hour or two ago, Donald Trump fired an Epstein prosecutor. That would be Maureen Comey, the daughter of former FBI director and Trump nemesis James Comey. Now, Trump could have a lot of reasons for disliking her, but as Politico noted today, Comey, who'd worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office for nearly a decade, prosecuted both Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? So when Donald Trump's trying to bury the story right now, out of nowhere, in an unprecedented move, presidents don't fire career attorneys, he fired Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell's prosecutor. This is just one in a series of things Trump has done surrounding the Epstein story that have just been really weird. And so now we are seeing a revolt among the MAGA faithful, people who cheered when Trump staffed the Department of Justice and FBI with loyalists, who vowed to release the Epstein files to the public. They were devastated last week when Trump's administration closed the case and told everybody, turns out nothing to see here. None of it made sense because the administration had been hyping this release over and over. Attorney General Pam Bondi was telling anyone who would listen that she had tapes to review, she had a client list to review, that they gave out a binder that was phase one. And it even got weirder because when they announced the case was closed, they also released that raw video from Epstein's prison block the night he killed himself. And that footage, as people noted, appeared to be missing an entire minute. Well, guess it. Get this. According to a new Wired investigation published yesterday, that video is actually missing approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds.
According to a new Wired investigation published yesterday, that video is actually missing approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds.
But she was very young when Donald Trump made these statements about her. Here, play this clip.
What do you think of Lindsay Lohan now? I think she's hot. There's something there, right? Yes, but you have to like freckles. I've seen a close-up of her chest. Yes. And a lot of freckles. Are you into freckles? If the father's a wreck like the way he is, right? Do you imagine his sex with his troubled? Yeah, you're probably right. She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed. Back in the day. How come the deeply troubled women? Yes. Deeply troubled. Right. They're always the best in bed. If for some reason what I said is true, I mean, they're just unbelievable. I can tell from the... You don't want to be with them for the long term, but for the short term, there's nothing. Tell from the... You don't want to be with them for the long term, but for the short term, there's nothing.
Once you have a true, proper understanding of a real love towards your creator, Jesus will cure all the bad theology and everything. Like he can handle that. But we as Christians, we as human beings, really, we tend to think that it's our responsibility to convince or force somebody else to think differently, and then we get real mad when they don't.
How dare you?
And we notice time and time again, it actually ends up pushing them further into the bad theology because now they feel they're being persecuted. So what they're believing in must be real, and that adds to so much fracturing in the church. But really, if we set that stuff aside, and if this happens with a friend or a loved one, and they start getting into this stuff, I mean, sure, talk about the theology, talk about all that stuff, but above all else, talk about it through love. Let them explain why they believe what they believe, and then they if they're being polite, they'll give you an opportunity to explain why you believe differently. And if you present that in love, they'll listen to you. If they know they don't have to be defensive, you don't think they're stupid, you don't think, all these bad things about them. And if you prove all the stereotypes wrong, because each one of those groups has a stereotype about everybody else, that basically everybody's a jerk, and they're the only ones that's not. So if you can prove that stereotype wrong and just kind of be an awesome friend, even if you guys disagree on theology or whatever, that is the best way to bring them back in, because they'll listen to you. They're not defensive. They don't feel persecuted. They don't have as much of a reason to be in that group in the first place. So that would be my advice. I've noticed ever since I've started that, I've had more success getting through to people than years ago when I would do what everybody else does and just get really mad and frustrated and try to show them that I'm smarter than them.
We begin this bulletin with a big breaking news coming in from Indonesia. A ferry packed with about 280 people burst into flames across the coast of Indonesia, forcing terrified passengers to jump overboard into the sea. You can see the striking footage, how it shows the vessel entirely engulfed in bright orange flames as plumes of grey smoke rose from the wreckage. And you can see people in orange vests trying to escape the fire. This is the KM Barcelona boat, and it was serving the Manado-Tahuda route as well as surrounding islands before the blaze broke out. This was at around 1:30 in the afternoon local time.
For more, welcome back. We have some very sad breaking entertainment news to share with you. TMZ is reporting that Malcolm Jamal Warner, probably best known for his role on The Cosby Show, has died. People reports that the 54-year-old was in Costa Rica on a family vacation and accidentally drowned while swimming.
Breaking just moments ago, Malcolm Jamal Warner, the actor best known for starring in the TV sitcom The Cosby Show, has reportedly died. Bill Malugin is on the breaking details out of Los Angeles for us. What do we now know, Bill?
Sandra, the reporting here really sad. Malcolm Jamal Warner, obviously best known for playing Theo on The Cosby Show, and according to TMZ, he has died after what appears to be an accidental drowning while on vacation with his family in Costa Rica. Now, TMZ reports that Warner, who's only 54 years old, died of asphyxia after he was caught by a strong current in the ocean there, and his body was found Sunday afternoon. Now, Fox has not been able to independently verify his death. We have reached out to his agent as well as his manager. We have not heard back yet, but we can tell you the Associated Press also reporting that he has passed away. Now, Warner dominated the role of Theodore Huxtable on all 8 seasons of The Cosby Show. He was nominated for the Emmy for the Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy for his performance in this role. He was a teenager throughout much of his time on the show, and his character quickly became a fan favorite. ABC News is reporting his body has officially been identified by Costa Rica's National Police following what appears to be just a horrible accident here, Sandra. We're going to continue working sources to get confirmation on our end of this, but if these reports do pan out to be true and he has passed away, he will be leaving behind his wife and his daughter.
There's always been spirits behind this whole thing. There are demons, there's fallen angels that it's kind of like poking the bear. There's already this problem, and then these spirits will come and make it worse. I wouldn't say that the problem is 100%. The evil spirit's fault. In that we can't blame the devil every time we do something wrong. Now, you could say, yeah, but all of this stuff started in the garden and that, Satan deceived mankind. Okay, sure. Then, yeah, it's Satan's fault. But that doesn't mean that we can continue in it and then constantly just blame the demons and blame the fallen angels. Yes, they are doing evil things, but we're also aware of that. So it's our responsibility to react appropriately when these demonic attacks come. It's not an excuse for us to succumb to them. They're not more powerful than us if we're in Jesus. I mean, Jesus is infinitely more powerful than these things are. And Jesus has promised us his authority. So we have the authority to not play their games, not fall for the deception or the temptation to get into these arguments and contribute to the ever-growing division. It's still our responsibility to not do that. So absolutely, evil spirits are spurring this on, but we don't have to keep letting them do that. I'm Josh Beck. If you want more information, you can check out dailyrenegade.com. That is my website. We host a number of original programming. I am also on basically every social media outlet, so you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
We're all pedophiles because you don't seem to care that children are being sexually abused. So the only thing I could ascertain is that you guys probably enjoy child porn. I don't know, right? You're not looking. I mean, if somebody claimed that I was, I would say, I absolutely am not. I wouldn't let it stand as fact, but you guys love to let it stand as fact that that's what's going on because you're not willing to stop it. So, I mean, if you're willing to perpetuate it, what else could you be? You're going to shake your head, then do something about it. No, Monica, you're not a pedophile. Then why aren't you doing anything about the child abuse that's happening in the county? Because you don't care. If you cared, you'd want to stop it. If you cared if it happened to your child, you'd want to stop it. If you cared if it happened to you, you'd want to stop it. Jim, what if it happens to your grandchild? What if? Would it matter then? Probably, right? It's so horrible to think about. Right.
Next speaker, please.
We should also remember how Donald Trump treated Alicia Machado. She was Miss Universe 1996, and Donald Trump described her as being too heavy and too overweight, and that he had to work on the way she looked. I mean, just completely misogynistic and shaming, and just how ridiculous is this? But here's a clip of Donald Trump next to Alicia Machado talking about that. Here, play this clip.
For the first time in the history of the pageant, viewers can actually participate. There'll be a question up, and the viewers can actually call in and vote. Let's bring up the question. It says, should a pageant title holder be required to maintain her physical appearance during her reign? Why do you think this is an important question the viewers would care about?
Well, it's something that really has come up over the last year, and Alicia has done an incredible job. She really has turned out to be one of the great Miss Universes, I will say. And she had a little problem during the middle where she gained a little weight.
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's probably right.
I don't think so.
Okay. And so
let's talk about that debate, because it's interesting. The viewers are going to make a decision today, and they're going to vote in one way or the other. Alicia, do you think that should matter? Because after all, you were voted in as being the most beautiful woman in the world.
I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
I certainly don't doubt that.
With 20 pounds or no pounds, I am the most beautiful woman in the world.
Do you not think that it's important to maintain a certain look during that year?
Yes, of course, but I think all women in the world have a problem with the weight.
Right.
And I think maybe I had some problem with this, but I'm fine now, and I think 15 pounds is nothing with 20 years old. And I think the most important for the next Miss Universe, and then is no more dinners, no more lunch, no more breakfast, and no more when you travel, diplomatic dinners and parties.
I think what Donald's talking about, and I think most people agree, that there is a look to Miss
And
Universe.
more time for go to the gym. It's very important because when you are Miss Universe, you don't have time for nothing.
Right. Donald, how do you think that this Miss Universe will be different from the others?
Well, I don't know that it's going to be different. We have many beautiful women, and it's actually incredible. I was over there today, and the women are magnificent. And so I don't think it's going to be different. It's going to be more of the same.
And just to remind you of the issues regarding Alicia Machado, they came out in the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton brought it up. Here's a nice summation of what went down. Here, play this clip.
And some people, when they have pressure, don't eat. And some people, when they have pressure, eat too much, like me. But like Alicia,
and she had a little problem doing the middle where she gained a little weight.
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's probably right.
I don't think so.
Donald Trump called you Miss Piggy.
Yes, Miss Piggy, Miss Housekeeping.
Well, how did that make you feel?
So sad.
Congratulations, you're citizens of the United States.
Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
Her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Where did you find
and
it?
she has become a U.S. citizen, and you can bet she's going to vote this November.
Okay, good.
And if you remember, there was a time where Donald Trump's competitions were being boycotted because when some of these allegations were coming out, and he talked about grabbing women by their genitals without consent. Here's how they were talking about it at the Miss USA competition in Louisiana. Play this clip.
We saw that Donald Trump announced on Twitter he would not be here for the pageant tonight.
We saw that Donald Trump announced on Twitter he would not be here for the pageant tonight.
All right, let's get to an update on just a horrible and tragic story from Washington State where 3 young sisters, they were found dead in a remote campground. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Chanel Call, who's following the story for us from the newsroom. Chanel, what do we know about what happened and where the search for the girl's father is at this time?
Hey, Mugo, good to see you this morning. Some disturbing details in this story. Those 3 sisters were apparently reported missing in Wenatchee, Washington State last Friday night. Local police, Mugo, say a woman called in reporting that those 3 girls had not returned, this after a planned custody visit with their father. Police say 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia were all found dead later in a remote campground. Their father, 32-year-old Travis Decker, he is still missing, Mugo. And despite that phone call to police reporting those girls missing, an Amber Alert notably was never sent out for them. Here's more on that from Wenatchee Police Captain Brian Chance.
An endangered and missing person alert, an EMPA, was activated by the Washington State Patrol at approximately 4:00 p.m. I want to explain a little bit that the endangered and missing person alert does generate a flyer that goes out to all the contacts through that State Patrol missing and endangered person unit. So that goes statewide. As well, the information for the alert is posted on the reader boards that I'm sure everybody's familiar with on the state highways.
So again, Mugo, a missing and endangered person report has now been sent out for Decker. He is wanted for 3 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping.
News in Vernon, that's where police and firefighters are investigating a disturbing death in a large-scale industrial kitchen.
Yeah, this happened at a factory that makes a well-known brand of frozen burritos. Eyewitness News reporter David Gonzalez live in Vernon with what we know so far. David.
Hey, good morning, John. Yeah, 7 hours after this death investigation started, you can still see police here on the scene talking to employees, trying to figure out exactly what led to this incident here at Tina's Burrito Factory. I want you guys to check out this video of the scene from last night. You can see people who appear to be workers, very emotional outside of Tina's Burrito Factory as Vernon police started their investigation. Right now there is limited information available, but this is what we know so far this morning. LA County Fire was called out around 9:30 last night for reports of an injured worker in the kitchen of this factory. LA County Fire says when they arrived, they did find a worker trapped, possibly in a food mixing machine. Officials confirmed that worker did die at the factory. And right now, authorities have not been able to provide us any other information, but I can tell you we've seen workers here at Tina's come and go this morning. One worker showed up but was going home because he wasn't feeling well. He stopped to talk to us, and he told us that he did not know about this incident until he showed up this morning. Also, we believe Cal OSHA is expected to launch their investigation sometime later today. But back out here live, Vernon police just walked out of the factory, and right now they're talking to some people who we believe work at this factory. But as soon as we get more information, of course, we'll pass it along to you.
I take this money. I got bills. I pay my card. I give it right back to you. Then I gotta pay my rent. I give it right back to you. Don't that mean I'm working for free? I'm sorry. I just want to understand it, bro. I just want to understand this shit real quick, B. I want to understand it. Reflection. I want to understand this real quick. I own a business. I own my own salon. The building is owned by some realtor. I call them up. I pay the realtor. Who gave the realtor the money to get the complex that I'm gonna own my business to pay? Right? But I got my own business. So I'm coming in here, but I pay my rent to the realtor. Who pays that? To the bank. Right? So wait a minute. I'm getting this money now, but it's still going to the fucking bank. And then now, because I own my own business, I'm the man, I got bigger bills. Guess what? Pay my employees or whatever, collect my stuff, and now I gotta pay my car note, because now I gotta fly out pay my car note. That go to the bank. Pay my apartment, my house, my mortgage, that goes to the bank. It's a wrap here. You working for free. The people that print the money don't need money, homie. They need control. Power. They need you to be doing what they need you to be doing when they need you to be doing it. They need your energy. They need control. Power. They need you to be doing what they need you to be doing when they need you to be doing it. They need your energy. They need your energy.